following is a production of Dirty Mo Media. Hey guys, it's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download, and I got a special show for you this Wednesday for our guest segment. Doug Richert, part of our Becoming Earnhardt series was an interview with Doug, a long-form interview to sort of dig into the 1980 season. And we used some of those clips from Doug's interview to really help bring home the message of the Becoming Earnhardt series that's out. All 6 episodes available now for you to listen. Well, this long-form interview is something that I'm excited for y'all to see. He was my dad's crew chief during that 1980 season. At just 20 years old, he was pushed into the role to be crew chief to help them continue their momentum on that run to the championship. We had a great conversation about him, Dad's relationship, the championship run, all of the drama around the team, and we got to relive this famous pit stop at Ontario where Dad almost loses the championship. Doug tells a lot of great stories, including the time where he took my dad's car for a victory lap around the track, picking up some girl along the way that day in Ontario, celebrating that championship. If you haven't already, again, check out Becoming Earnhardt 1980. The new season is amazing. All 6 episodes available wherever you listen to podcasts. And I learned a lot about my dad through making this series, the 1979 and now the 1980 season. And I know you will too. So here's my conversation with Doug. I hope you'll enjoy it. We did a Becoming Earnhardt 1979, and I was wanting to work on and get to work on the 1980 year, and it's really fun for me. I have these scrapbooks that I know I've told you about in the past, but my Aunt Kay made the 79 and the 1980 season scrapbook, and so I found these when Mama passed away. We went to her house and we're looking around and with my aunts, and Aunt Kay's like, here, I got these I made. These been sitting in a closet in Mama's house that I've been at a million times. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, how
where
can
was
I
this
haven't
at?
seen this, right? Yeah. And this one, I redid the 1979 one because it was a little rough, but this one's actually in pretty good shape as far as everything's not falling out of it. Just jumping right in, man. So you and Dad's friendship grew really quick. I remember y'all, going and playing out on the lake all the time in 81, even after that. Even after y'all weren't working on the same team anymore, y'all were still around, right?
Yeah.
How did that friendship and relationship develop? Was that, he's just a bit older than you, probably about 6-7 years, maybe even 1 or 2 more than that. But how come you, right? Why wasn't he, what was the connection between you two?
Well, I mean, we kind of like doing the same things, I guess. I was new. I was learning a lot. So was he. We didn't have a lot of commitments outside of the going to the track and stuff yet. It wasn't built up as big as it got. I grew up on dirt bikes. We decided to buy dirt bikes and we go ride in the mud through the dirt, the trails, over logs, whatever.
Yeah, I remember that bike.
And that came about, and skiing, we always water skied. He always wanted to pull someone on a tube, and that's why the videos and stuff are out there of that, and pulling you out there. And I don't know. I don't know. We did things together, and I kind of accumulated up from there.
Yeah. So,
I can't really say that there was a path I took to become his friend.
Yeah.
Usually
it came naturally.
Yeah, I mean, usually it's personalities that work, and they like to do similar things. Mm-hmm. Usually creates a friendship. Yeah. Right? I mean, and how long that lasts is up to the two.
Yeah.
How much you want to pursue afterwards, because lives get busy.
Yeah.
And it is hard to keep up.
Mm-hmm. The dad that I know, for the most part, is later in his career where he doesn't have a lot of time. Every day, every hour is
consumed.
Committed to something, right? And and I'm not going to pretend that it was entirely different back in like 1980, but y'all did, you'd get home from a race. I imagine, you're going to be at the shop all week, getting, cars ready and so forth. He's going to come by. There'll be that traditional, relationship and professional relationship where he's plugged in and y'all are working. But how did y'all plan a day on the lake? I know they're racing 28 times a year, so there's some off weekends and some opportunity to actually do those type of things.
Well, a lot of that stuff came about at the point when his neighbor that was a pilot.
Lee, or no, I know you're talking about Edwards.
Edward. When he started flying them, that helped a lot because we could leave like Dover, hop in the plane, land right near his house, and we had daylight left to go ski. Mm-hmm. And we were together. Come on, let's go ski. Okay.
Right.
Boom, plan.
Yeah.
I mean, if we would have got home later, it wouldn't have been a plan.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of it was really spontaneous. I can't say, all right, well, Tuesday at 10 o'clock, we're going to be on the lake. His day didn't go like that about any time because he was spontaneous. Come on, let's go.
Yes.
Those, you know it. Mm-hmm. It's like when you wanted to do something, go now.
Yeah.
I ain't got time to wait.
Yeah. So Dad would sign a contract early in the 1980 season or leading up to Daytona. And it's 4 days after Riverside. It's a 5-year extension with Osterlund that was stretched through 1986. Like, imagine had all of that continued throughout all those years. Dad's quote is, "We're building a team, and I think it'll reach 100% this year. When 5 years are up, we'll probably sign another 5-year contract to run him through 1991. Long contracts were a rare thing.
Oh, yeah.
And so, as we know, Osterlund would sell the team midway through the 1981 season, but this is beginning February of 1980. He's Rookie of the Year in 79, his first full season, his first real job. And now he's got this long-term extension. Was that even briefly in amongst the guys a bit of a relief?
It has to be, right? I mean, because as you're building something, you always got to think about where it's going to go. Obviously, if we didn't run well, we probably wouldn't last long. And when it did start happening and it's clicking, like you said, Rookie of the Year, he's got an extension, he's going to be staying. Now it's up to the rest of us.
So that's it right there. You just said that. He's going to be staying. Let's paint the picture for a listener that there was always maybe this worry for everyone in the back of their mind that the person they're working next to could be gone tomorrow. Because there weren't a lot of contracts or binding agreements. Like Jake could walk out the door after the 600 in Charlotte. Yeah, somebody could come to you and go, I want you to crew Chief MC Anderson's car. And you would be like, I can't not do this. Thanks, guys. It's been awesome, but I'm going over here. Right? And that could happen at any moment. He was staying. You said that. So that must have actually been a big relief for the team to know there was this plan. And that you knew
who it was going to be with.
Yeah, if you thought Dale Earnhardt could get it done, and then you were glad that he was locked down, right?
Right. Well, we all saw the talent. Right. We all saw the success, and we all wanted to be part of it.
Yeah.
I can't remember anybody that really wanted to leave.
Yeah.
Why would you?
Right. Going into Daytona, Dad seemed to have. Obviously, we know now that he's won a ton of races there, 34 career victories at Daytona and different, in 125s and July races and the Daytona 500 and all that stuff. But even in 79 in the Buick, and then when you prepared the 442 Oldsmobile for 1980, he would have fantastic runs at Daytona and Talladega. What is he asking for? What does he need that car to do? What is you go win the Busch Clash in 1980. He gets out of the car and he's like blown away, like that he's won this race. You can see already the thrill that Daytona is to him.
Well, I think the biggest thing about that time in racing was it was up to you how far you wanted to push your car.
What do you mean?
Well, we didn't have restrictions.
Yeah.
Want to take a spoiler off? Take it off. I got to get a story for that too. But those limit, you could reach your own driver's limit. Mm-hmm. It wasn't you were working in a rules box.
Yeah.
And you had to make the best of it.
You could make the car fast as you wanted, but as
long as he could drive it,
handle it.
Right.
Yeah.
And the biggest speed was rear spoilers.
Yeah.
You might have had a size of the spoiler,
but you could lay it back.
But you could go straight back if you wanted. Whatever. That was your choice. Mm-hmm. So during the week, that's kind of what we were
playing with that.
Yeah. How free, get those brakes pulled back, put springs on them, put all the stuff to not create drag, what oils, all that was the same, but there was some bigger tools in the box that you still had freedom. You could change whatever you wanted.
Yeah. So that's why that's why you needed all those days of practice, and because you were tinkering and toying.
That's it, because you could.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now they limit practice because they know they're just going to wreck.
Yeah, and there's nothing really to change anyways. So did he ever come in and go, oh, that was a little too much, a little bit too hairy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Teston brought that. You might have heard it, but we were at Daytona testing, and we were playing with the rear spoiler. We were laying it back. Got back to where you wouldn't even think it was doing anything. So he said, take it off. Okay. We didn't think twice. He said, take it off. And he left pit road, going through the gears. Bwom, bwom. He gets over there. He starts going in third gear. I'm coming in. It was too much.
Yeah.
Tires just come off the ground.
Wow.
And that was his limit.
Yeah.
If they started spinning and you're not up to speed, I guess it says go back in. That's the wrong direction.
I don't think that you guys start the season out going, we're going to win the championship this year. It's going to be our year. You're just probably thinking we're going to run and win some races. We're going to try to win a race, win multiple races. Do you remember, I guess, where there was like a bit of a shift in the garage or the shop of man, we're the favorites, or we're contenders even for the big prize?
I mean, I can see it and I can imagine it, because you never know, right? If you have 4 bad races in the year, you never recover. Mm-hmm. But we were good enough.
Yeah.
And I think if there was a light bulb going, we're halfway through and we're leading the points.
Yeah.
And I guess you really don't know you can do it until you actually do it.
Talk about the fear of those mechanical failures, because people don't really understand. Today's NASCAR fan hasn't experienced a time when mechanical issues and even engines blowing up was a regular occurrence. Cale Yarborough was struggling with this in the first 3 quarters of the season, a lot of mechanical issues for Junior Johnson and their team, and that cost him the opportunity to really to win a championship that year. But it was such a common occurrence for a team to go out and blow a motor. There's a lot of attrition in all the races, a lot of gremlins and little $2 parts, which we do not see anymore. I guess, having that points lead, sitting there a third of the way through the year, but knowing going to the next race, something could happen.
Absolutely.
None of this stuff was as tough as it is today.
The biggest thing was back then was, I don't know, you could say a lot of the quality of the parts and pieces, like spindles, and we were welding spindles together and to make them. We had a stock spindle, but you still welded steering arms on them and things like that. But the biggest thing I think was in the motors, right? And you say, oh, I had a lot of motor trouble. Well, the perimeters of what you could do in the motor was also wide open as far as some of the rules go. So how far do you push making power and you hope it lasts?
Yeah.
There wasn't rod weight limits. It was just open, right?
Yeah.
So you could build a grenade, but a grenade could blow.
Right.
And it was a balancing act. The rules actually helped everybody because this lasts now, but this is all I can do. I can't go any lighter. Springs and valves. I mean, there's all kind of limits on it.
Yeah, I guess that's a great reminder of why the engines were so delicate. It wasn't, my mind would say, well, they were trying to push production parts further than they were designed to go. But that's not necessarily entirely the case. They were trying to take production parts and grind them down, make them lighter, and turning a crank into a toothpick.
Yeah.
That's not supposed to be ground down, not supposed to be so light to where it might break in half. And rods as well, stretching rods.
Throttle body shafts, you name it. Everything was to get airflow, air movement, lightweight.
Yep.
Titanium was a big friend of people.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine so. There was a lot of innovation. I've heard stories about, and this is during like 78, 79, 80, Darrell Waltrip and Junior Johnson, or even might have been Kell and Junior Johnson having, or it was Darrell Waltrip and Dygard dumped all the lead shot out of the frame rail and the jack post. And so, I mean, these teams, it might have been, I forget who it was, but somebody, Buddy Parrott or somebody, he's going to be pissed if I'm wrong, but somebody had a set of, it was, what's his face with all the gold? Tim Brewer. Yeah, Tim Brewer had a set of wheels that were full of lead, and they were had 40 or 60 pounds of lead in the wheel, and that he would, that's
what you went through inspection.
Yeah,
with.
They didn't scale the car after the race, so he'd go across scales with his jack.
That's why that was invented, because they didn't weigh them afterwards.
Yeah. So I mean, you guys ran well. Do you remember any innovation that you guys, try to take advantage of, or
not from that aspect?
Nothing like that. Nothing.
That's
aggressive.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I learned some of that after the fact.
Down the road. Yeah.
I did. But I mean, then
in 79, 80, Dad's cars,
we were straight up.
No. Yeah.
I mean, of course we met limits, but we didn't take it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I figured, Dad went and raced Ed Negree's car in 1975 in Dodge, his very first Cup race. And Ed Negree's son Norman said they had nitrous on the car, but everybody had nitrous. Like if you didn't have nitrous, you definitely weren't going to make the race.
Never used it.
But they and guys, I guess the front row at Daytona in either 77 or 78, it was maybe Dave Marcus and Darrell Waltrip. They or AJ Foyt and Dave Marcus. They kicked them all. No, it was Darrell Waltrip and AJ Foyt got kicked off the front row at Daytona because they had nitrous. And then in the same year, Dave Marcus and the K&K Dodge had some kind of a removable block, some kind of a piece of tin or something blocking just the radiator to stop the air from trying to go through the engine compartment and create drag, so it'd go around the car, kind of like what we do now with taping off the grills and stuff.
Right, when it wasn't allowed.
Wasn't allowed, so they threw him out.
I remember seeing people paint the screen with clear.
Oh, really?
And that would block it off.
Yeah, damn. Well, it's interesting. I mean, I figured that so Jake had tricks, but they were all within the.
He really focused on setup stuff.
Yeah.
That's where his expertise was. I mean, even if we didn't have a springerator, he would grab a spring and squat on it and just kind of bounce it up and down. Say, yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good. I said, okay.
So Martinsville, this is a race to forget.
First lap?
Yeah. Dad, this was really out of character, at least in my opinion, for him. But the green flag comes out. He started on the inside, let's say row 5 or so. And in front of him, I believe, is maybe the 47 of Harry Gann, and then Richard Petty's 2 rows in front of Dad. They drive down into turn 1, and Dad is running into the door of the 43 car. He's jumped the inside, 3 wide, goes down. Of course, no one. This is like a move that no one makes. So I say that because no one's going into turn 1 expecting this, right? And Richard goes on down to the curb, and there's Dad's car in his door. And Dad jumps the curb, drives into the 42. They all wreck. Do you and Richard Petty is so mad. I think he goes up after the race and sticks his finger in Dad's chest, and he's like, you got to change some things. Like, hey, it's kind of one of them moments where he's like, that right there ain't going to work. You don't ever want to do that again.
And they did.
Yeah. And the rest of the day sucked. I've watched that race. Like, y'all struggled. The toe was all messed up, and the car just didn't drive well, and y'all ended up just kind of, grinding out the day. And Richard talked about this on the podcast, how he got Dad's attention at the end of the day. I wonder if you kind of recall much about that afternoon, or just, when Dad goes down there. I'm sure y'all maybe didn't have a great view of what went down because of where you were in the pits, but
it wasn't like we had a view that we're going to go over and fight them.
No, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you would nowadays.
Yeah.
But, I think we all knew that there was going to be repercussions from that, right?
Really?
If there wasn't repercussions from that, that just said, okay, anybody can do that if you can make it. Mm-hmm. No one thought he was in the right.
No.
And did it take that for him to realize that, man, I can't do that?
Yeah.
I'd say yes. I think he did realize that.
Yeah, it's probably a good teaching moment for Dad.
Sure. Yeah. We were all learning, right. Him included.
Yeah. After that race, Dad's, there was a kind of a flashpoint where, Richard Petty's mad at Dad after the Martinsville race. What's this mean for Dad? Is he going to make it, how's that going to change his style, if at all? But he continued to race everybody pretty aggressively. All the veterans, at certain points of the year would criticize Dad. At Michigan, for example, in 1979, he drew a lot of criticism from Darrell Waltrip and Richard Petty for his over-aggressive driving, and then the Martinsville thing with Richard Petty. Dad would win the Nashville 420, which is a trophy sitting right over there that you brought to us. Cale is beating on Dad's back bumper the last 20 laps or so of that race, and actually jumped to the outside, and Dad squeezed him off the corner, and Cale gets out and claims that Dad runs him into the wall. And Cale would make more criticisms later in the year about Dad and his aggressive driving. When I look at 1980 from my vantage point, I don't think about aggressive Dale Earnhardt. Aggressive Dale Earnhardt and the Intimidator and all of that kind of flew into the picture in 86, 87, and beyond.
After.
It got wild. Like 86, 87, and in that black car, in 89, 90, and so forth. I mean, there were some hard times. Like, we win a lot of races, but there was some moments where you're like, we damn pissed everybody off here. But in 1980, he's just a young driver with some flaws that, some polishing that's needed. As this year's going on and Cale and him are starting to, Cale's starting to be a little vocal in the media and so forth about his opinions of Dad's driving. Was any of that ever, a topic of conversation amongst you guys?
Well, I think what was happening was the style of racing in that day was different than Dale's style of racing. Mm-hmm. And I say that is because I think everybody had races where they just kind of rode along. They were biding time. They were saving their brakes. They were saving their time, whatever it was. Dale wasn't. So his aggressive driving is actually now starting to force other people out of their comfort zone, right? So now he's making these guys mad because now I've got to run this. I got to run so hard to not let him get so far away or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's just It's just the way that the race plays out. Now everybody runs 100% every lap because they got equipment and talent and means to do it. If you don't do it,
can't afford to give up the spot.
You're in the back.
Yeah.
So I think that's why. Now, did I see that it was, oh my gosh, I'm scared going in here to this race. We're going to get wrecked, because he did some. I don't think we really thought that. That didn't really bother us. Of course, if you go in there and you squeeze someone, they retaliate on you. Okay, well, we got what we had coming.
Yeah.
Right? We started it.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to describe it. If you watch, the NASCAR races throughout the 70s, there was sort of this constant understanding that, we're gonna get these vulnerable, big giant machines to the finish line, and we'll figure it out then. And things would get testy at times. Richard Petty and David Pearson's 76 Daytona 500 crashing to the finish line. That was wild because it was so rare, right? When you saw any kind of contact and
Donnie,
stuff like
Cale.
Right. That was wild to see then because it was so out of character. But to your point, Dad comes in off of the, North Carolina dirt clay where he had to, pretty much fight his way
sling it around.
Yeah, his way through every freaking weekend. And he shows up and he's just racing hard every single lap, and those guys are like, "Hey, that's not how we do it here.
This is not how I'm comfortable with doing it." I think people that are comfortable in the car are successful. Some people aren't comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
It's a deal. But what's funny though? You talk about, that was not the normal, right? But even though like those wrecks all came from blocking.
Oh yeah.
And what do they do today?
Yeah.
Block.
Lots of blocking. I know.
It's funny.
It is. So as we're moving up to the World 600, so going into the World 600 weekend, there are reports that Jake Elder is having problems with rolling. And during the race, Dad cuts a tire on lap 276. And it's this really cool picture. Unfortunately, Dad's wrecking, but Dad blows a right rear tire. Bobby Allison, David Pearson, Cale Yarborough, they're all running at the front of this race, having a great day, and then they all get swept up in this crash. It's a really spectacular moment, right, as all the lead cars are crashing in the middle of 3 and 4 late in the race. This is the race where Jake ends up leaving. He's very successful, very respected, but cantankerous, often moving from shop to shop mid-season. If he didn't want to be there, he was gone. And that's what gave him that nickname, Suitcase Jake. So he cites that Jake would leave the team the day after the World 600, and I want to read some quotes to you. He had some differences with Roland, and a change of attitude in Dad. Quoted as saying, "Roland could screw up a 5-car funeral. Dave Marcus told me I'd never be able to get along with him, and he was exactly right. And since Earnhardt has got some money, he don't know you. He's as cocky as they come." That's what he said. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Yeah. You start the season, Dad signs a contract, everything is looking awesome, winning some races. At this point, when you go back to the shop on Monday and you're learning of everything that's going on, is there any concern? Is there does Roland come into the shop and go, "Guys, we're going to be great. Don't worry. I got it." Is there anything like that going on?
No. Because
were you curious? Were you worried? Were you not worried?
Our group was small anyhow, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody knew how Jake was. Jake was good. We ran good and all that. But there was also distractions that came along with Jake, right? It wasn't always gravy. When winning's good, it's when you're down is when you realize how good your team is.
Yeah.
And during some of those times when he would start throwing things, and those are just distractions. We do it at the shop, we do it at the track. It's kind of embarrassing sometimes when you're out in front of a lot of people and you do that. So I really felt like, I'm not saying, okay, I'm glad he's gone, but there was a side that, well, we won't have these distractions anymore.
Yeah, there's a positive, there's a silver lining.
I mean, nothing of our choice, but you can find something good out of anything.
Sure.
And I felt like that was a good point for us to not have that distraction. And, and to take over a role like that or whatever in a transition day is like, okay. I always wore a radio. I always did everything except for push the button.
Do you remember when you pushed the button and you're the man?
Yeah, next time I got to the track.
Right, I know. So do you just came
and I'm
naturally?
sure I was.
Do you have some anxiety?
I'm sure I did.
Yeah.
Do I remember like, oh my gosh, I was nervous.
Right. I
had to be.
I'm trying to put you in the garage.
I was 20 years old.
I'm trying to put you in the garage when the dad's backing out to run the first laps, and you're standing there and looking around, going, "All right, this handful of guys, they're all counting on me."
That was, but that's always the case. It was definitely the case in very inexperienced, right? Mm-hmm. And now I'm in this role. But I always found that those were my most anticipated laps of any time, is when you show up with something you think is going to work and you go see it and you go, whew, or you go in and almost hit the wall. You go, oh my gosh. But
Jake would subsequently be hired by the Diegard team at the request of Darrell. Buddy Parrott is fired from the team. Buddy would say, "I'd die before I ever turned another wrench on a DW car." A lot of NASCAR media basically count you and Dad out after Jake's departure. It's believed that without the experience of Jake on the box, the team would fall off. Continue racing through Texas World, Riverside, and Michigan with finishes of 9th, 5th, and 12th. Are you solely in charge of the decisions on like cross, casters, cambers, all those things, springs?
We always discussed it.
Who's we?
Me and your dad.
Right. And so you and Dad together would formulate the plan for the weekend and what you unloaded, and then you would work on it. And there was lots of practice at these races. I mean, some weekends you'd go into Charlotte and start practicing on Monday.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy because, it was just crazy to think about. I counted at one time, I think in 1981, there were 15 or 16 hours of practice for the World 600.
That's a lot.
And there were full days. The track it said in the program, it'd give you a schedule. It'd be like, the track is hot at 9 o'clock and it's closed at 5. And you're like, I mean, you could literally just go out at any point in the day, right? Now, you weren't running hours and hours and hours, but you'd be like, hey, we're gonna run this run and then go take a break.
A lot of times, what we would do is these weather conditions aren't when the race is going to start,
Sure.
so we'd wait till
Yeah.
the day, around the same time the races start to get your final setup.
So you and Dad are kind of managing this. Do you remember if Dad had any concerns about the lack of experience, or Jake not being there, or was he kind of similar to you in terms of like, well, we're just going forward?
I don't feel like it was a concern.
Yeah.
I didn't take it as a concern.
Yeah.
So we just started talking like, all right, here's what we ran there before.
Yep.
Here's, but we ran a little better over here.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to try this? It was an open book.
Yeah.
I wasn't, how could I be strong-headed after a year?
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Your role at the racetrack changed instantly. It wasn't sort of this progression. It's like, as soon as you go to the racetrack without Jake, you're the you're the voice on the radio. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess I didn't have too much time to get scared.
Yeah.
I didn't have too much time to think about it. We just had to do it.
Yeah.
Right? And it's kind of like the same time when we showed up for the very first race.
Yep. So you would go to Nashville and win. And there's some great photos of you guys in Victory Lane. The trophy sits here. And I believe we've talked about this in the past, but getting a win together, was that a calming relief, a bit of like, all right, we can do this?
Absolutely.
Our season is, we're still on path toward this, this championship goal, after that win.
Absolutely. It's like, it's like the whole time we anticipated as a team to get our first win, period, in 1979.
Yeah.
All of a sudden as a group's like, we won.
Yeah.
Right?
That looked like a very hot, miserable night, middle of the summer. The look on Dad, there's pictures of Dad and Victory Lane squatting down beside the car to take his photos, just because of, I guess, the heat and so forth in those cars. Yeah. Hey, everybody, you want the latest Dale Jr. download apparel? Visit shop.dirtymomedia.com. We're always adding new stuff all the time, especially like when we say something silly on this show. We'll put it on a t-shirt. Again, check it out at shop.dirtymomedia.com. So you survived this messy crew chief change mid-season. Y'all continue being consistent and winning races. There was an engine failure at Darlington. Dad has another blown motor at Dover. You win Martinsville, and then you would go to Charlotte and win again. But then Rockingham, you have 2 crashes, broken tie rods, and Cale slashes the points lead to 44. There was in the back half of the year, there were a lot of mechanical issues. Do you think that might have played a role in the coming to
the pressure?
Not so much that, but like, was there? I'm just trying to make sense of why they would cut Roland, or not Roland, but why they would cut the engine builder Lou at the with 2 races left in the season. Why not just at least let the guy get to the end of the year? But there must have been some boiling over disagreements, some differing of opinions leading up to that, right? Obviously, that just don't happen overnight. You don't just walk in there and fire a guy. But with all the failures and the engine issues, was there some?
I would have to almost say there's something.
Yeah.
Plus, Roland had a motor background to himself also.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, 'cause he was always involved in the motor room, even though Lou was there. But that was kind of his cup of tea.
Gotcha.
He did it for his modifieds. He did that stuff. So I would say if there was anything, that was probably between two guys' motor thoughts of what way to go.
Yeah.
Right. What's better? What will last? What won't break?
Yeah.
Obviously, somebody wanted to push it more than the other, and we had failures. I don't know what they were. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But
were those becoming was you're having these engine failures in the second half of the year that you hadn't had, earlier in the season. Do you remember there being any concern about, were you sitting there going, what has changed? Why are we starting to have issues?
Well, I would have to, so me not being a motor guy, I would have to think that Roland and them are in there discussing like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah.
What are we doing different? Right?
Yeah.
And I'm only assuming that because I always had my head under the hood.
Yeah.
Right? It was time to put the next water heater in.
Yeah.
And so that's just one thing I've never done.
Yeah.
It's never messed with motors.
Yeah. Well, that would make the battle for the championship a tight one going into the season or season finale on Ontario. So, if you're in the shop and you're preparing the car for Ontario, did you find yourself like over obsessing with every
details,
every bolt, every checking everything? Is this the best coil that we got?
Right.
Is this rotor
all
button?
The best choices?
Yeah, is this the best rotor button we have? Because rotor buttons would break.
Silly, stupid
things.
But the rotor button fell under the motor department.
Yeah,
right?
I'm sure.
I already got it with a distributor in it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm sure a lot of that is something we did every week, though, really. Yeah. I mean, because we did build our cars from scratch there.
Yeah.
Which, at the time, there wasn't a lot of people doing that.
Oh. You get to the racetrack in Ontario, but this is your neck of the woods. It's your side of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Does that add any comfort? Does it matter?
Not really.
You've been on the East Coast a couple of years.
I mean, I came home, but I didn't have like a big group of people at the track, my family. What
was the vibe in Ontario like? Because Dad drove by. We're in the car together in late afternoon after a day at the racetrack, and Dad drives by and says, "This is where Ontario used to be. That mound of dirt is turned."
That little mound was the front straightaway.
Oh, and there was still this little ticket booth box on the corner that was still there for the last, that was one of the last like physical structures. But, and I'm like, my gosh, there's a racetrack here right in the middle of town. Cause And so, of course, it was way less developed back then in the 80s when the track was there physically. But when I watch old races, there's people there. There's a crowd. It's not, the track obviously isn't as successful as they had hoped because it did not survive beyond, I think, the 80-81 season or so. And what was the vibe inside the track in the garage, in the pits, comparable to a Atlanta, Darlington? What was it like? Because you're on the other side of the country. This is back before the sport was truly a national, recognized, deal.
I mean, I don't remember it being as super focused championship weekend.
Right.
Because TV coverage was not that old, for racing. So the social media, the media period, I mean, obviously it was a big weekend.
You knew it was at stake, yeah.
We knew what we were after. It's what we built the team for. Mm-hmm. And we're there doing it in a position to capitalize. And I think we just kept going.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, did something worry me? Well, of course, right? Anything bad thing can happen. Mm-hmm. But
did everything go smooth? Practice, qualifying, all this?
I feel like it did.
Seems like, yeah.
Nothing stands out. Yeah. No, nothing stands out on it, other than the 1 point in the race.
Dad would fall a lap down on lap 71 when he'd pitted too early during a caution. He would go to 9th place. Cale continued to battle for the lead. Even took over the points lead midway through the race. During a caution at lap 146, Dad battled past Cale to get back on the lead lap. And Junior Johnson protests that Dad made some sort of an illegal move. Dad's final pit stop, the one that you'll recall, came on lap 183. The plan was to take fuel only. And somehow there was a miscommunication. You guys began to change tires, and Dad would take off with only 2 lugs on the right rear. He's black flagged, comes back down pit road to get the lugs put back on. Let's talk about it. So you do remember you mentioned you remember standing in the pits when Osterlin comes up and says, well, that's it. I guess it's over.
And then, everything played out.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to think, the damage on the side of the car, did that provoke something to go? I mean, a lot of times you go over the wall, you see something, you go, oh my gosh, you can't get tires because it's rubbing the fender, rubbing a tire.
Yeah, you got to fix it.
Was that it? And that's what's confusing.
Yeah.
If you can just remember why it happened that way.
Who's changing fronts and rears?
I was changing the front tires, so I was into that. And then Dave D'Ambrosio was on the rear.
Yeah.
Marv Acton was on the jack.
Yep. And you get up and of course you're not watching what's going on back there. And you think
I get done and I leave.
Like, hey,
that's my thing.
You got to run around and nose the car so he can leave. You got it on. We'll watch it. This will be fun.
Yeah. But look, Dave running around, tire carrier's there.
Look at Dad. He's waving it
off.
He's
waving it off. He keeps looking over there at the right rear like, come on.
What an idiot. Dad, damn it. I'd be interested to know, and I know you probably can't recall, but if the right rear tire changer comes over and goes, oh, Doug, there's only 2 lugs on the wheel.
He had to have, right? But see, at that time, the officials were always standing. We were the only one on pit road, and they're standing there and watch.
They're already telling you're coming back.
Yeah, you don't have lug nuts.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. I mean, it wouldn't have made it.
That's a goal.
Oh, yeah. It wouldn't have made it more than a few more laps with just 2 on the right rear.
Oh, we know how that would work.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
So the race plays out. You end up 5th, a lap down, well in position to win the championship. Do you remember knowing when the car crossed the finish line that you were the champ?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because we were standing there just...
Yeah. Not chewing your nails. Right.
It was just one of those things where it was something you worked all year for.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, all of this is going down, and I'm sure y'all probably quickly did the math and said, all right, we're good. Nothing happens.
Nothing changes.
We're good.
Nothing breaks.
Right. And you ran out the rest of the race. Finishing 5th, Cale finishes 3rd. Benny Parsons, using some really great strategy on pit road, wins the race. You guys also won the Craftsman Pit Crew Championship, which you brought the trophy to us. And these are Dad's comments. My heart really dropped when I got black flagged, but I can't say anything bad about the crew as hard as they have worked this year. Cale won 3 championships in a row, so I don't see why we shouldn't try, I guess, to do the same
thing.
We got a young crew and young ideas, so we're going for it. Crew chief reportedly took the car for a victory lap of his own on the way back to the garage.
That was my first fine.
Really?
Yep, that was my very first fine.
What'd you do?
$300. Well, the race was over. We won the championship. I just got in the car and I went out on pit road. And I was going down pit road. And lo and behold, there's some girl sitting on the wall. I said, come on, get in.
Bull.
Did. Got in the car. And I just went out around. It wasn't fast.
Yeah, sure.
I just running around. And when I got to turn 4, there was trucks, nose to tail.
Blocking
the track. And I just turned down, went on the apron, went up back on pit road. It's all I was doing. Just took a ride. And it wasn't fast.
Ain't bad.
No.
For a fun
that would only be like $3 million now.
I know, but thinking about it, I'd paid $300.
$300 for a joy ride for the first championship.
What happened to the girl?
I don't even know. I didn't know her.
Yeah.
He was just sitting there.
Yeah.
Why did I pick her up? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Only in I guess Southern California.
That's the moment. Right?
Yeah. That was the
West Coast girls.
Yeah. The West Coast Southern California hospitality.
Yeah.
Yeah. It says Dick Beatty wasn't amused. Dad earned almost $600,000 in 1980, just shy of Al Unser's record from 1978 of $591,000. Any stories about a hometown celebration? You and Eddie Jones, y'all were named co-crew chiefs for 1981. And you admitted to Rod that you didn't think you could do the job due to the new cars that were rolling out in 81. Is that true?
That's when we switched to Pontiacs.
Went to the smaller
wheelbase and all that.
Do you remember?
I don't recall that. What I was commenting on earlier was Dale Earnhardt came.
I know.
And they made him the crew chief.
Yeah. Did you get to choose that, or did you get hey, this is what we want to do, how you feel?
I told him I was fine.
Yeah.
Just because I was,
You were young.
So was that actually end of season leading into 81 before they got Dale Earnhardt?
Yeah.
What it sounds like, because why would we become co-crew chiefs if Dale Earnhardt was coming?
No, yeah. Y'all were named co-crew chiefs leading into 1981. This must have been right after the championship win in Ontario, and that you, I guess somewhere in an article, had admitted to Rod that this was a good decision, you and Eddie partnering together to be co-crew chiefs because of the new cars coming in. Felt like that would be a challenge for you to manage on your own. Yes. So I guess, that was that's something I wanted to ask you, was the new cars coming in. NASCAR had talked about this. If you read articles from 78, 79, 80, there's this, the new cars are coming. Oh, what the hell? Auto manufacturers had a massive influence on the type of cars you guys are racing on the racetrack. What was the celebration short for the off season, knowing that you had all of this preparation in front of you?
See, I really don't even remember a celebration.
Really?
There was the deal down at the
Sergeant Pepper's.
On the beach.
Where?
At Daytona. It was where the banquet was at.
Okay.
At
the banquet happened at Myrtle Beach or Daytona.
Yeah.
There's some pictures of that. You guys.
That's when we were all. That's when we were all dressed up.
Yeah.
For the in our Wrangler coats and all that.
Yeah. Did the banquet happen immediately at the end of the season, or do you recall whether it was
It was a little bit after.
A little closer.
I think more winter time kind of thing. I just remember it being.
You had to go all the way to Daytona.
Yeah. Right back where we started. It was different.
Yeah.
Right.
Big thanks to Doug Richert for sitting down and sharing those stories, hearing the 1980 season, all from the guy calling the shots at just 20 years old. Adds a whole new layer to that year. It was cool to hear about Dad's run-ins with veteran drivers like Richard Petty, Cale Yarborough, plus the dynamics of the Osterlund team during that championship run. It was incredible. Just so thankful for Doug to give us some time. Again, if you like this conversation, go check out the full Becoming Earnhardt 1980 series. All 6 episodes are out now wherever you get your podcasts. And now it's time for the white flag. The teardown was live on YouTube and Twitter following the race, and Door Bumper Clear dropped on Monday with guest Michael McDowell, and Actions Detrimental also dropped as well on Monday. Me and TJ had a great episode of Dirty Air yesterday, and also dropping today, Speed Street and Herman Schrader. And tomorrow, another episode of Bless Your Heart with Amy. She joined me in Sonoma, so we should have a lot of fun conversation around this past weekend. Hope you guys enjoy this episode today. We'll see you tomorrow.